Welcome to the Virginia Tech Intramural Sports Indoor Soccer Preseason presentation. We are excited that you are a part of our intramural sports program, and we look forward to working with you and your team this year. In this presentation, we will review general intramural sports policies, procedures, important sports rules, captain's responsibilities, sportsmanship, and more. As a team captain, it is your responsibility to share all of the information presented in this video with your teammates. Feel free to send them the link to this presentation to view on their own time. We would like to thank Fox Ridge Apartment Homes for sponsoring this year's captain's presentations and for the coveted Intramural Sports Championship t-shirts that all team and individual sports winners receive. As a team captain for your intramural sports team, it is important that you understand your role on your team and within the intramural sports program. You are responsible for recruitment and organization of your team. Make sure all team members are eligible, are notified of the sports rules, intramural sports policies and procedures, and communication and information coming from the Intramural Sports Office, and when and where your team is scheduled to play. All information can be found on the Intramural Sports website and within the Fusion IM portal. Having all teammates' cell phone numbers and emails will help you to be able to communicate with them in a timely fashion and provide updates for everyone. As a team captain, you are responsible for being familiar with all intramural sports game rules, policies, and procedures, as well as representing your team when discussing rule interpretations and player eligibility with the intramural sports staff. More information regarding captain's responsibilities can be found in the Intramural Sports Policy Manual located on the Intramural Sports website. For indoor soccer, teams need a minimum of 5 players to start the game. Teams with fewer than 5 players have a 10-minute grace period to get enough players checked in and on the court to play. All players must have an Intramural Sports full membership and be added to the team roster prior to the game starting. All players must be checked in with Intramural Sports staff and show their hockey passport. It is important that all team members show up to the game at least 15 minutes early in order to start the game on time. Intramural Sports has a 10-minute grace period. If one team is present at the start of the game and the opponent does not have a minimum number of players to play, the team present will have the option to start the game ahead by the score of the mercy rule for that sport. However, the team may also elect to have the game started with a 0-0 score if the opponent shows up prior to the end of the grace period. After the grace period ends, teams without the required number will forfeit the game. A double forfeit is called if neither team has enough players present and checked in to start the game at the end of the grace period. Teams that forfeit will be removed from the league and may be replaced with a team from the waiting list if the team does not pay the reinstatement fee of $20 on Fusion IM within 2 days after the forfeit occurs. Please always show up for your games unless you are contacted by the Intramural Sports Office. If your team knows that you will not have enough players to play the game in advance, you can log into the Fusion IM portal, click on the game in your schedule that you wish to forfeit, and click on that forfeit button. This will notify our Intramural Sports Office and your opponent that the game will not be played. We greatly appreciate you using this feature as early as possible to notify us of any forfeits on your team. As always, you can add players to your roster throughout the season. This next section deals with intramural sports rosters. Players may be added to the roster online on Fusion IM before or when they check in for a game. There is no game limit to set your team roster, so players can be added the entire season, including during playoffs. Many times, there are free agents available to play, and captains can find them on Fusion IM and invite those players to join their team at any time throughout the season. The Intramural Sports full membership must be purchased prior to registering a player to the roster. Players may only play on one men's or women's team and one co-rec team. Players are locked on the team roster 3 weeks after the season begins, and players may not be removed to be added to another team after that 3rd week of games. There are a few roster restrictions for indoor soccer. There's a maximum of 3 varsity non-soccer athletes allowed per team. There's a maximum of 3 club soccer players allowed per team, but an unlimited amount of club players from any other sport. Professional athletes are not eligible to participate in intramural sports. If you suspect that a player is ineligible, you may file a protest. Player eligibility and rule misapplications are the only valid protests allowed for intramural sports. An eligibility protest may be made at any time before, during, or after a game as well as any time during the sports season. A rule protest must be made prior to the restart of a play, otherwise the request will be denied. The rule protest must be made immediately at the time of the official's call. Captains may file a formal protest in the Intramural Sports Office with the protest form in 135 War Memorial Hall by noon the next day after the game is played with a $10 protest fee. If the protest was found to be correct, the fee will be refunded. If the protest is found to be incorrect, the fee is lost. All league schedules, team rosters, game results, and league information is posted on the Intramural Fusion portal. Log in to see your team and league information. We may contact teams to fill in spots if teams are dropped from the league, so please check your email regularly and respond to our messages when we ask you to. These games are extra games on top of what your team is originally scheduled for, so please still show up for your regularly scheduled games. Sportsmanship is extremely important for the Virginia Tech Intramural Sports Program. It is the mission of the Intramural Sports Program under the Department of Recreational Sports at Virginia Tech to provide a wide range of individual and team activities at both a competitive and recreational level to students, faculty, staff, and other members of the university community. Our purpose is to provide exercise, recreation, and fun to our participants in a relaxed yet structured environment. Intramural sports are a crucial element of the student life experience because they promote and reinforce teamwork and personal accomplishment, mutual respect and integrity, competition and recreation, as well as skill and exercise. Everyone is encouraged to play to the best of their abilities. However, a win-at-all-cost attitude is inappropriate and strongly discouraged. The genuine value of intramural sports comes from the opportunity to participate, not from winning. Sportsmanship involves respect for all participants, officials, scorekeepers, intramural sports supervisors, and fans. To encourage sportsmanship for all intramural sports activities, a team sportsmanship rating system has been developed to encourage proper sporting behavior during all intramural contests. The rating is based on a 5-point scale, and all teams must meet the minimum average sportsmanship rating of a 3.0 to be eligible for the playoffs. Now let's talk about some sport-specific rules. First, I'll begin by explaining some general indoor soccer rules and then highlight some correct modifications. All soccer contests are played between teams of 7, but a team may start a game with as few as 5 players. Games consist of 2 20-minute halves with a running clock. Teams do not have any timeouts, but a referee may suspend the game at his or her discretion. Due to time constraints and facility availability, regular season games may end in a tie, but once we reach the playoffs, all games will be played until there is a winner. You can review the overtime rules as listed in the indoor soccer information sheet posted online. The game begins with a kickoff, and for a legal kickoff, the ball may move in any direction. However, the ball cannot be played again by the kicker until a teammate or opponent has touched the ball. The ball is not out of play until the entire ball crosses a line or plane, whether that is the touch line or goal line. On kick-ins, the kick must be taken from on or behind the sideline at the spot where the ball went out of bounds. For goal kicks, the ball may be placed anywhere inside the penalty box. For corner kicks, the ball must be placed on the corner. If a kick is not taken from the proper spot, it will result in a re-kick. A kick-in that does not enter the field of play will result in a kick-in for the opposing team. The defending team must allow the kicker 6 feet to complete the kick-in. Not allowing the offense enough space will be penalized with a yellow card. Remember, unless the ball is touched by another player, a goal cannot be scored directly on a kick-in. Substitutions in indoor soccer are different than those in the 9 versus 9 league. Substitutions may be made by both teams at any point during the course of play, with the only exception being goalkeeper situations. To sub for a goalie, the team must wait for a stoppage in play and must also notify a referee. All subs must enter and exit through the substitution box. For a legal substitution to occur, the player leaving the playing area must have 1 foot in the box before the incoming player steps into the playing area. Illegal substitutions will be penalized with a yellow card for the incoming player. Another rule difference is that there is no offside infraction in indoor soccer. Finally, for a goal to be scored, the entire ball must pass over the goal line within the goalposts. A ball that does not completely cross the line or plane is still in play. Indirect free kicks are awarded for dangerous plays, obstruction, illegal handling by a goalie in his or her own box, and after any stoppage for an injury. Also, don't forget that a kick-in is also an indirect free kick, so a goal may not be scored directly on a kick-in. Direct free kicks, other than goal kicks, corner kicks, and kickoffs, are awarded for handling, tripping, pushing, and other physical contact. If a defensive foul occurs in that team's penalty box, the offended team will be awarded a penalty kick. On all free kicks, including indirect or direct free kicks, corner kicks, goal kicks, and kickoffs, opponents must give the kicker 6 feet of free space in all directions. We understand that many intramural participants are very competitive, but it is the responsibility of every player to play within the rules of the game and maintain proper sporting behavior. Any issues with sportsmanship will be dealt with by the officials or game administration. Yellow and red cards are given at the official's discretion and may be given for unsportsmanlike behavior, such as language and gestures, excessive physical contact, repeated minor fouls, and excessive celebration. Since a safe playing environment is one of our program's main concerns, be aware that slide tackling is not allowed in indoor soccer and will be penalized with a yellow card. Please note that shin guards are not required, but we highly recommend that participants wear them for their own safety. In a men's or women's soccer game, if 2 minutes or less remain in regulation time and one team leads by 4 goals or more, the game will be ended due to a mercy rule. In co-rec, if a team leads by 10 points or more at any point during the last 2 minutes of the game will be over. In co-rec, the number of males and females may not differ by more than 1. Anytime you have an odd number of players in the game, the goalkeeper must be of the gender with more players in the game. For example, a full-sided team of 7 may have 4 males and 3 females in the game. In that situation, a male must be the goalkeeper. Co-rec soccer also has a scoring modification. If a male scores, the goal is worth 2 points, and if a female scores, the goal is worth 3 points. This modification includes penalty kicks. Lastly, please keep in mind that all soccer contests will be governed by the National Federation of State High School Association rules, not USSF rules, unless we have specifically adapted a rule for our campus, in which case the rule will be outlined in the rules sheet posted on our website. All games are played in War Memorial Hall. Practice equipment is available for checkout from scorekeepers at the scores table. Game balls are available, but teams may use their own ball if it is approved by both teams. All jewelry must be removed prior to play, with the exception of medical, alert, or religious jewelry items that must be secured with tape. If any jewelry is to be worn, it must be pre-approved by the intramural sports professional staff in person in the office to obtain written approval to play with it on. It then must be secured by tape, as well as observed by the intramural sports supervisor on staff. All intramural sports teams must have both a white and a dark colored jersey with unique 1 or 2 digit whole numbers for each team member. Both jerseys must be brought to all games. Taping numbers on shirts is not allowed. Players may easily use a black or a white Sharpie marker on a t-shirt to write their numbers down. Intramural Sports does not provide these jerseys or shirts, so please make sure that you bring both your white and dark colored jerseys with you for every game. All dark colored jerseys must be the same similar shade of color across the entire team. Opposing teams must wear different colors. Captains will determine who will wear the alternate color, and if teams cannot reach an agreement, then it may result in a team forfeit. There are times when the weather does not cooperate and decisions on game status will need to be made by the intramural sports staff. We will make a decision by 4 o'clock p.m. daily for the first scheduled game of the day. After 4 o'clock p.m., the game status will be determined by the staff on site, and games will be scheduled according to the current and forecasted weather. Game status updates will be shown on Twitter at VT Intramurals, our Facebook page, website, and the VT Weather Hotline. There are several important dates for the Indoor Soccer League that we want you to pay attention to. The first day of the regular season begins Saturday, February 3rd. Playoff brackets will be posted Monday, March 12th. The first day of the playoffs will be Wednesday, March 14th, and our championship night for indoor soccer is Thursday, March 29th. If you have any further questions, please see the Intramural Sports website for more information on sports rules, intramural sports policies and procedures. Visit the Fusion IM portal for all team, roster, game schedule, and result information, or contact our office if you still have questions. Good luck, have a wonderful season, and thank you for helping to make our Virginia Tech Intramural Sports program one of the finest in the country. Thank you to our sponsors of Virginia Tech Intramurals: Domino's Pizza for our championship nights, Fox Ridge Apartment Homes for sponsoring our championship t-shirts, and for PK's Bar and Grill for sponsoring USOA.